This is your guy EF with the 50-second sports take. We're talking college football, and we're starting in the state of Texas. Big football is being played today in Texas. You have Oklahoma and Texas, and Alabama versus Texas A&M. Let me start by saying, before I go any further, let me just say, listen, I told everybody this summer the transfer portal and NIL was going to change the game. It's going to change the game for the better or for the worse, but it's going to change the game. In some cases, most cases, you're starting to see the traditional powers taking a step back just a little bit. And then you're starting to see some of the lower tier teams taking a step up just a little bit. Just enough to keep things very competitive. Now, I'm not saying teams like Alabama can't win the national championship, but what I am saying is that it's going to be hard to dominate and be the head and shoulders favorite and be the favorite to win it every year. Especially when the 12-team playoff comes. It's going to be ridiculous. NIL and the portal, it's changing the game more than we even know. Look at Colorado, 1-11 last year. Now they're 3 games away from possibly making a bowl game. Look at Texas. Look, when Texas played Alabama, the difference in that game, the difference to me in that game, we can talk about Alabama's quarterback, we can talk about the O-line, D-line, all of that. The difference in that game was Texas's receiver, Mitchell. Mitchell, he's a transfer from Georgia. If you remember when Georgia played Alabama in the championship, Mitchell is the one that caught the game-winning TD. I don't know if you remember that or not, but he caught the game-winning TD. He transferred to Texas. And if I'm not mistaken, he caught 2 TDs against Alabama. The portal is serious business. If you have talent across the board, but you're missing in key areas, like Texas may have been, they have Worthy as one receiver, and he's very good. But who's the other receiver? Well, they bring in Mitchell as a transfer. Now you're loaded on both sides. Now Alabama, who's loaded, has to account for both. Now that makes things even. Even. There is no advantage. Things are even. And when things are even, it can come down to a fumble, a bad play, a mishap here or there. But you're not dominating anymore. You're not head and shoulders better. That's what the portal is doing. So as you make your picks today, Alabama versus Texas A&M, Oklahoma versus Texas, I mean, good luck. Good luck. Because you really need to know, who does Oklahoma have? I mean, have you really watched Oklahoma? Have you really dug into their roster to say, okay, this is who they have, this is why they're going to win or lose? You have to do that nowadays. Well, you always have had to do that, but especially nowadays because of the portal. You don't know who they brought in. You don't know who's on that roster. You don't know who's going to be the difference maker and make you say, oh, man, Oklahoma beat Texas today because they got that transfer from Syracuse or that transfer from North Carolina, and he came in and he made a difference. If you're not studying all of that, if you don't do your research on that, you have no clue of what you're dealing with when you're watching the game. It's serious business out here. Alabama versus Texas A&M. Alabama lost 20 transfers this past spring. How does that affect your depth? Yeah, they bring in a bunch of 5 stars, but you still are losing depth when you are losing people that are your second, third tier, third string guys. They mean something. They're important. Those are reasons why you might take a step back. Hey, this is where we are. This is college football. So when you make these picks, good luck to you. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy these games. I think Texas will win. I think Texas A&M could win or should win. All of their talent is starting to show up. All of their players are starting to show up. Alabama's still a little uncertain about what they're doing offensively. Defense looks good. Offensively, I'm not quite sold there. Anytime they play Texas A&M over the last 2 or 3 years, it's been a dogfight. At Texas A&M, I think they lost the last time they were there. So, I mean, there are a lot of things to make you say Texas A&M should win this game. But again, you don't really know who they have. We're 4 or 5 games in, but not, it's crunch time now. playmakers, different makers are getting ready to step up. And you've got to really know these rosters if you're going to make these picks. Just like Colorado, as I mentioned earlier. They 1-11 last year. 3 games away from making a bowl game this year. The transfer portal is real. Let me say this about Colorado. Today versus Arizona State is probably, believe it or not, the biggest game to date. Yeah, the TCU game was great. Nebraska was great. Colorado State game was, that was back and forth. And Oregon, USC, they weren't really expected to win those games. But now, you're 3-2. 3 games away from trying to make a bowl game. Trying to get their first Pac-12 win. Expectations are there. The young guys are stepping up and showing up. They really need to win today at Arizona State. It's a rebuilding process, it's transition, and if they lose, they can still build and grow, but no, they really need to win today. They need to go 4-2. Arizona State is not a pushover, but it is a team that they can beat on the road. This is a big game. This is going to show us a lot about Colorado. This is going to show us if they've learned from the last couple of weeks. Are they growing? Are they mentally tough enough? Are they solid? Are they stable? It's not an end-all, be-all game, but it is a measuring stick. So let's watch for Colorado today. Let's see if they're showing us development, maturity, growth. Big game for Colorado. A lot of people don't see it that way, but I see this as a huge game. They can go 4-2, or they can be 3-3, and that changes things just a little bit. If this is a stock, they're booming. Everything's high. Everything looks good. But in the small term, in the small window, intraday, this is a big, big game for Colorado. So again, Oklahoma, Texas. I'm looking at Texas. Texas A&M, Alabama. I'm still not sold on Alabama's offense yet. I know their defense is good, but it's at Texas A&M. I do think Texas A&M will win the game. This is your guy EF with the 50-second sports take.